Ngachitalo. Nobody knew her name, but they could verify her death. This is how I met Cousin, in a by-the-way style mourn whilst researching Ishmael Sebi. She's the woman he fathered, but could not raise. In the end, he would not have been able to verify her face like the others, only her name. People told me that he was a big man, one of the ministers in Idi Amin's government. I became so determined to find him and to observe how his history is happening. I tried to gather bits of him. Wherever I looked, his name had been spelt wrong or his voice was over. When I thought I'd found his face, it was usually another set of imminent eyes. In several films, I saw his back swim with the predators on the Red Nile. His face always hidden. In others, his face was either cut out, buried by light, or leaving. Instead of him, I kept finding Cousin's trail. She was often moving so fast that her limbs were one. In a few, she was clutching her stomach, sometimes with a child and other times without. Cousin's life started and mostly stayed in Bouaisi, a high-tempo Kampala slum, until money had escaped everyone who knew where to get it. Through an employment agency, she found a job in Saudi Arabia and was off. In Saudi, Cousin was employed as a domestic worker. She stayed with her family to clean their home and look after their children. While she did her work, she drifted, following routes she had chased online. Sometimes she took her mind with her. Perhaps for short moments, her name was drifted. When the kids she looked after got home, they often wanted to play with Drifted. They played the game where you run around the house until the person that's looking for you is able to find you. The kids knew that Drifted was fast and would always catch them, so they used to call her Legs. Once, her employer came home, saw them playing, and decided that her gate key should be taken. It was good that she moved so quickly in their house, but not beyond it, he thought. At night, Legs sang to her own children all those miles away, whose school fees were paid and whose books were full. Before sleep happened, she pictured ways to stop the thief getting in at night. But when he came, her legs were done and her mind watched from the roof. After the thief had left, I wondered if my intuition had split, because my stomach ached afterwards. She remembered being young, and how the big women talking would hush-hush when she walked in. Seeing her sister shake out stuck pictures, she knew what had happened, in the same hush-hush way. The words had not been given to her, so instead of hush-hush, she decided that what had happened was thieving doors. The next day, when the children were at school and her employer was out, Legs bolted herself into the house so she could rest without thieves. The family slept outside the first night, waiting for the authorities to arrive. This continued for 3 more nights, until she had rested enough to run. She ran until she did not recognize the sounds around her, and then ran some more. The further she ran, the fuller and stronger her stomach became. Eventually, she made it back to Uganda, after being arrested, detained and deported by the authorities because her employers held her right to be in the country and her documents. Back in Uganda, her children gave her letters and did not speak till she read them. There were hardly any words, mainly drawings. One letter was her running with them on her back as she jumped over a mound of red soil. Another had all their smiling faces dotted all over the card with their names written neatly below. Hers was in the middle of the fold of the card, Mama, 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 written once by each of them. Months later, money was still escaping Bwaise, so Mama, Mama, Mama decided to leave. On her flight from Uganda to Malaysia, she looked at the letters again and whispered responses to her children so quietly that it was as if she was communicating to herself. She travelled with a different agency this time, who assured her that things would be different in Malaysia. So Mama, Mama, Mama began cooking their food and teaching their children. The night she noticed that there were no window guards, she thought the world was free of thieves. She slept too easy and too deeply. And again Mama, Mama, Mama began folding their clothes and reading to their children. She had arrived in Malaysia from Uganda because money had escaped the country, so she went to find it. On the plane there, she looked at the letters her children had written her and whispered responses to them so quietly, it was as if she were communicating with the most delicate part of herself. The letters from her children were given to her after she'd come home from Saudi Arabia. It was the first thing they did when she walked through the door. They were mostly drawings with a few words. On one card, the cover was full of hearts with "thank you" written in the centre of each heart. And in the other, they had traced their hands and drawn her face in the centre of the card with her name written by them all underneath. Mama, Mama, Mama. The first time she returned to Uganda was after arrest, detention and deportation in Saudi Arabia. She had run until she did not know the sounds around her and left her employers behind. Because her employment status was tied to them under the kafala system, they reported her the moment she bolted herself into their house. For 3 nights, the family slept outside. Mama, 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 locked and boarded up every door with the wood from their beds, then rested inside their house, free of thieves. Whilst resting, free of thieves floated into the room where big women were hush-hush as she walked in. They sat with each other in silence, knowing. I've spent some time learning free of thieves in images I find, looking and looking again. In some photos, she's holding her stomach, sometimes with a child or with a man next to her whose face had been carved out. I was trying to find bits of him when I kept seeing her. Every time I searched for his name, it was spelt wrong, and hers was never there in full.